I always want to live in a city where when something happens, like a murder or arsonists or things of that nature, are big news, that they never become just another piece of news in the paper. Oh, somebody got killed, or another fire, or another break-in, burglary. I never want to live in a city like that. But every once in a while in Fort Collins, something bad happens. And I think last week I missed out on reporting on it. There was a what turns out to be a pretty young individual in Timbervine and Dry Creek, which is off of Mulberry and Timberline, that was setting fire to flags, to cars, just causing havoc. And I had two different people that live and friends that live in that neighborhood that, there was some serious concern because it just was unsettling. You just didn't know what was going to happen, and it felt like it was continually happening. And that reign seemingly has come to an end. Just actually as of a couple hours ago, that individual was arrested by the Fort Collins Police Department, or the individual suspected to have been doing all of this. So the residents of Timbervine and Dry Creek can sleep sound tonight comparatively to the last really month and a half. And then additionally, in Windsor off of I-25, 392 and I-25, there was a live shooter this week at American Hotel. Pulled the fire alarm, had first responders come. I mean, there were maybe not hundreds, but maybe 100 police cars and emergency personnel all parked around this area. Nobody was hurt. The suspect was taken into custody. They've got the individual, but things like that happen, and it's refreshing when it's big news, because like I said, the last thing I ever want to do is live in a city where that's just kind of par for the course. But regardless, those two big things were happening. Thank God no one got hurt on any of the car fires. There was some property damage, some families that were impacted financially, but there's been some GoFundMe accounts raised for that. And then nobody hurt at that Windsor off of 392 and I-25 shooting. So those are both ended up being good things. But hey, let's watch out one another. A lot of stressful times, a lot of stressful situations. Inflation numbers came back high. People are just a little bit stressed. So let's make sure that we love on one another here in Northern Colorado and Fort Collins, and make sure that it is the wonderful place that I believe it to be. All right. Let's see here. Timnath, one of the fastest growing places in all of Colorado for the last decade. And actually, I've got a cool video coming out this coming Tuesday. Have a look at it. A lot of good information about Timnath. But they are putting onto the ballot in April some language that would essentially stall this project Ladera that's being proposed and built by Connell Resources on roughly about 240 acres. But there are some mining activities that need to be reclaimed fully and completely before, or at least per the citizens' desire and ballot initiative, before they can develop there. And the town of Timnath, the city council, were completely opposed to these restrictions. But because there was a petition from the city, it is going to go onto that ballot, essentially saying that there needs to be a full reclamation process before any type of development can occur, or the city can annex into the town any types of these developments. So this project, Ladera, already has gotten Topgolf, which I'm not sure if I'm totally opposed to it. We went to Topgolf not too long ago off of Thornton. Man, it is an eyesore. I love me some Wellington, don't get me wrong, but put it out a little bit further north. That's kind of a gateway into Fort Collins in Northern Colorado. So I'm not necessarily sure if I'm totally sad that did not get pushed through, but the citizens had another initiative that said, hey, no fences, I think, taller than 60 feet. And that passed, saying that basically Topgolf couldn't develop there. So Ladera keeps on having these barriers that they're having to overcome. But, that's like an area that would have had provided 700 homes, 2 million square feet of commercial. We'll see if that keeps going. I mean, that is some prime real estate for sure. So I'm sure something will get passed. The reclamation process, if that gets voted in, will occur. It's just too valuable of an area for it to just kind of go lost. There was kind of an interesting article talking about developments again. There was some student housing. There's a student housing project that's been stalled out since 2018 where CB and Potts off of Elizabeth. And man, I used to go there when I was a kid, the shark hanging from the ceiling, and you'd order or at least my dad would order the Monte Cristo. And it was just kind of a cool place to go watch football games. I mean, like stairs going all over the place, but that was raised in 2018 or 2016. But bought by a developer for some student housing and just kind of sat vacant since. And that project is continually being extended by planning and zoning. And it might be extended again, or this project might have to restart or maybe resold. But definitely, again, housing, rentals, all that kind of stuff, we definitely need it. So we need hopefully a developer to put a shovel in the dirt sooner than later. Let's see here. Poudre School District. This is huge, in my opinion. On the southeast side of town, I live on the southeast side of town. On the southeast side of town, there's going to be kind of an agreement between the Poudre Library or the library, Poudre School Districts, and City of Fort Collins. And the Poudre School District has officially given over the land off of Rock Creek and Ziegler on the southeast side. There's going to be about 10 acres there, and it's already been given. That land had a valuation of about $3 million, but that's going to go towards the project, which is the Southeast Community Center, which is going to have a library, a community gathering, and potentially some indoor lap pools. And I think the citizens of Fort Collins are really excited about that because really the closest indoor pool you've got is Epic, and then you've got Mulberry, but the Southeast has grown exponentially, and that area is kind of, it's been amazing because Twin Silos Park, Fossil Ridge High School, you've got a lot of cool stuff going on there. Fossil Lake Ranch, that amazing development just to the south of Twin Silo Park. But now you're going to have this really probably world-class facility there on the southeast side of town, which I'm excited about. And I would assume a lot of those individuals on that side of town are going to be excited about. There's going to be a ton of traffic, though, there on Ziegler and Kechter. So that I'm sure no one would be excited about. Let's see here. Fort Collins Connections is moving into its 7th year. I am running this live stream on Connections. I can tell you about 17,000 citizens of Fort Collins are on Connections, about 37%, which is higher than their projections, but they're extremely over budget. Their original numbers were about $105 million to build out Connections, and they're like at 157, almost 160, so almost 50% higher than the initial budget. Not a great thing. They did get the funding. They're fully built out on residential houses. They're working on multifamily. They're working on commercial. We've gotten some quotes at our building. I'm not necessarily excited to bring it into our building yet, or commercial building, not ours. The place that I rent, I do rent our commercial building, or my office. But that being said, Connections is really awesome for a cheap, affordable price of $79 per month for what I have, 1 gigabyte worth of speed. The juxtaposition between 100 megabytes or 15, 25 megabytes up and down versus what I've got going on now, 1 gig up and down is great. But if you are in Fort Collins, and also they're kind of having this intergovernmental agreement, an IGA between Larimer County and City of Fort Collins to bring in kind of these areas within the county that aren't in city proper. And there'll be about 1,000 new homes that are going to be brought on. If you have an opportunity, a chance, I would recommend it. It's phenomenal. Support the city utility. We voted it in many, many years ago, and it's finally built out. And definitely can't stop talking highly enough about it. Let's see here. What is next? We already talked about that. All right, City of we'll talk about what's going on here in the next month. Not too terribly much. Besides, it is going to be. This is important. It is going to be freezing this next week. We own a fair amount of rental properties. We always send out what's called a freeze warning. Make sure you are keeping your property, your temperature above 65 degrees, probably a little bit closer to 70 degrees. If you can, open up some of those cabinet faces that have some of those plumbing fixtures underneath. A little drip of water. Make sure all of your hose bibs, your exterior hose connections are unscrewed. It's just going to be cold. There's going to be about a 3-day snap of single digits as our highs with negatives in our lows. So it's going to be a 3-day extravaganza of very cold weather. So make sure that you're taking care of your property, doing those things that will help not freeze pipes, and not have major issues that you could potentially prevent. If you have a vacant house, make sure you get eyes on that, especially, basements. The last thing you want to do is go swimming in your basement. But that's coming up this next week. Other than that, Valentine's Day, City of Fort Collins. If you're coming into Fort Collins, the lights downtown turn off on Valentine's Day. So make sure to go out and enjoy a walk, a drive. You're basically from Olive all the way to pretty much all the way to Walnut, and then Linden Street. All of these amazing, beautiful Hallmark card-esque type holiday lights. Go explore that because they do shut off on Valentine's Day, or the day after Valentine's Day. Which, speaking of, we're a month out, and City of Fort Collins is this small little community that you can just walk into a place on Valentine's Day and get a seat. You need to start considering getting reservations for Valentine's Day probably now. And this is advice for you and myself, because I have not done it, but I probably should. So that being said, make sure you get on top of that. As for City of Fort Collins City Council, first meeting of the year, it was just an inauguration of the new council members on their 4-year term, and our mayor, Jenny Arndt, on her second 2-year term. But Emily Francis, Julie Pignataro, Patiandi, I will learn her name very, very quickly. But that being said, they all got sworn in for a 4-year term, and the only agenda item was voting on a mayor pro tem. Essentially, this is voted on through the city council members, and Emily Francis, for a second time, has been voted in on a mayor pro tem, which is a 2-year term. And all the council members had nothing but great things to say about her. So excited to continue to watch these city council meetings, as they are huge. And again, in 2024, they're going to have LUC 1.3, 3.0, whatever you want to call it. That will be one of the big initiatives of the city council this year. And we'll see if they and Preserve Fort Collins can come to some sort of agreement. All righty. We finally got them in Old Town. Wes Highstand. What's up, Wes? Appreciate you watching, my man. Let's see here. Finally got who? The lights? Maybe got the lights on? I'm not sure. Let's see here. -30 wind chill. God help us. Yes, and you're in Windsor. You're in Wellington, and you got no protection of those nice lush big trees that we got here. But -30 wind chill, and you guys got horses out there. Make sure to protect those. All right. Well, I don't see any more comments, but I appreciate you joining on, Wes, tonight. You have a good rest of your evening. And whoever else is watching, thank you for joining me every Thursday night at 5:30. We talk about everything there is to know about Fort Collins, what's going on, what's happening, city council, developments under review, all of that kind of fun stuff here, keeping you up to date to Fort Collins. All right. See ya.